Um, One of the things that I obviously do is I share my experiences because we learn more about ourselves and the relationship that we have with energy, because that's all there is energy. Okay? And so, one of the things that I began doing this morning is basically look in my own mirror and go, what are you doing to yourself? Why is this happening the way that it's happening and unfolding? And now you're becoming aware of how you're held captive to essentially the negative polarity of the way that it works. You keep draining. Uh, I shouldn't say energy from myself, but I'm going to give you the insanity of how bad this is, because I catch myself in doing things that don't serve me. But then that depends on what your perception is and why you do the things that you do. So I'm going to give you some very good examples here, which really goes back to when I was 21 years of age, when I grew up, because my mother was adopted as an orphan from Canada, because my mother on the female side is white bear. Okay, and I believe my dad came through the Celtic side of things, which again would have been native to the planet. Okay, so when I had grown up in what would probably be classified as an upper middle class home, because my mother was receiving a my grandfather, on my mother's side, was the chairman of the board of Simpson Spence and Young, which was one of the largest shipbroking companies in the world. He lived on Park Avenue in Central Park, New York. Okay, so he was hanging out with. He could have been knighted by the Queen of England, but he avoided to do that because he felt that as an American, Americans do not recognize titles of nobility. Monarchs. They don't acknowledge monarchs. Okay. Even though when you look at the history of the Roman Empire and you go into the U.S. House of Representatives, you begin to realize that's all Roman Draco. Draconian, okay, ruled over by demons. So anyway, everybody's seen one of these things, right? Which is a dollar bill. Okay? If you go and look at right up in here, where that finger is right above that one, if you've got really good eyesight, you'll see an owl. That's the Moloch. Represents a Moloch. Okay? This money represents consciousness. Now, you might just think it looks like parchment paper that's got engravings on it. Okay? But this represents consciousness. The consciousness that is represented by the consciousness of a demon, the energy that is represented by a demon, is in that money. The energy, this is energy. Even though it looks like paper, it represents energy. And this energy is negative polarity. Okay? Now you begin to understand why I never have any money. And I never had any money when I was a child, because I can't give it away fast enough. Because I don't want that negative polarity around me, because of what it produces. It increases the density and prevents you from being able to escape the matter density that you're in. And when you know that as a small child, you're always wanting to escape the density that you're in, that you're held captive by, as a result of this money that's in circulation. Okay, now here's the proof of that. My goal for the last 4 months has been trying to save up enough money to get a car, okay, so that I can get a tent, go back to live out where I know some of the most powerful spiritual places are in Northern California and Southern Oregon, to send out as much scalar healing energy as I possibly can, particularly through those areas that were deliberately torched, where all the bears, everything that is nature, okay? So one of the things that I did last night is I went into some mystical chants for about 40 minutes and began using my heart wheel to try and send healing energy across the entire planet, throughout the entire galaxy, throughout an entire Laniakea. And I put myself spinning my Merkaba over in a place called Happy Camp, because I thought, even if I can't get there by getting a car, okay, that at least I can be there because I can picture myself there. That's the power of your consciousness. That I'm there spinning my Merkaba and healing all of the land that is over there that suffered as a result of all those fires that run all the way up from the Mendocino County, all the way up through Trinity County, and what's known as the Six Rivers area up near the Redwoods, and then all the way up to the Klamath. Okay? So here's how this story sort of unfolded. My goal was to jump on a train. I went to San Francisco because they had a homeless shelter, but those were all locked up. So I had no place to go, okay, except, hang out on the street. But because I have a spinal injury, the amount of pain that I was suffering from was just beyond crazy. So I figured I got to jump on a train. At least I can charge my phone, and at least I can have some comfort, right? So I'm still trying to get to Southern Oregon to get over to the Redwoods to produce some healing energies over there, okay? So I figured, well, when I get paid with my Social Security check on November 3rd, that will allow me to have plenty of enough money to be able to get into a vehicle. So what happens? I get here into Medford, Oregon. And because it began getting cold here, which wreaks havoc on my bones, right? What happens? I end up in a motel room that's charging me $90 a night because the last time I was here, there wasn't any shelters that were open. And because you have so many people that are on crack and there's so many demons in this town, it's not a very safe place to look for some place to hang out, particularly somebody like me who has some of the health problems that I've had. And so I paid the $90 a night to stay in a motel room, and in less than 7 days, I paid $700 to stay here, waiting for my check to come. And when it did, now I got $2,400. Now I'm back down to $15. Okay? So now I got to get out of here. I won't have any money left, and I won't have any money left for a car, which means now I'm stuck in a shithole. And then I began to ask me, how did I allow this to happen to myself? This fun? Okay, because I have an interaction with the artificial intelligence. It's trying to write algorithms into my unconscious memory to get me to do things that don't serve me. And then I'm hanging on to all this money that I got on my account. So what is it doing? I'm deliberately draining my account on purpose to get rid of it. Okay? So this goes all the way back to childhood. Okay? Which means I don't want their money. I don't want to use their money. Okay, which is saying I don't want to have a car. Well, wait a second. I need to have that car to go do what I'm doing. This becomes the illusion of how money works against us. Because I know that I just got done healing that whole area over there by being able to be wherever I need to be in the entire cosmos and be able to put myself in a place. Remember what I've said before? Wherever you find love and living spirit, which is what the light is, we can be wherever we need to be. Wherever you find the light and living spirit, there is light over there. There is living spirit that is over there, so I'm there. Even though my physical body is not there, it's in here. My living spirit, which is in the light, is putting that and producing that energy there. Okay? So this is where I go back to my childhood and the island of Kauai, because even though I had had a home that was provided for me, I couldn't get out of that home fast enough because of what it represented, because all the trees that were cut down that represent living energies, in which the box I was living in, I didn't want to live in that box. I belonged in living trees. So when I was 21 years of age and I began realizing I needed to leave this civilization because of what it represents as negative polarity by having an attachment to it, this is an attachment. You're attached to something that represents something that is evil. So you want to get rid of everything that represents what the evil is. Because all the money that was used to manufacture all the cars that I'm trying to get into, by using their evil money in which to do that, means that you're on a perpetual state of trying to escape the density, to escape the evil, to escape the energy that is in this money. Because of what it represents as a result of what they did to the girl on the planet. So this becomes sort of a dilemma, doesn't it? And this is why I thought this morning, man, just take what money you got left, jump on a fucking airplane and get back to the island of Kauai, where it all started back when I was age 21. Because something in my consciousness 2 years ago was where I realized, and if I didn't mention this before, I'll tell you this. When I first got to the Big Island, I was led in spirit, what we call being led in spirit, which means I have a spirit guide, which is Mama Earth and other spirits that I hang out with that are very powerful spirits. So when I got to the Big Island in January of 2017, this was after the event that I told you about where I punched my timesheet in. As soon as I landed in Hilo on the Big Island, I was grabbed in spirit, which means you don't see a physical form, but you can feel the presence of a spirit that is communicating to you. And the communication was to mobilize the islands, the Hawaiian Islands, to remove all the parasites and the vampiric energy that is there, which essentially is all the negative polarity that is draining all the life force energy out of the Hawaiian Islands. Okay? That's why I went to the Big Island. That was why I was there, to help do that. And I realized when I had a dream there, I had a dream in which I was in a schoolhouse at night, and several police officers came up and fired bullets into me and shot and killed me because of what I represented. So I said to myself, I can't allow that dream or that potential timeline event to occur, and it's not going to occur because I have the power to do that, which means managing my timeline. So there was a couple of events that occurred before I left the Big Island, which would have been June of 2019, when I realized that I was beginning, because I had gone to the police department of Hawaii County, and that was because of, again, the war crimes that are committed there, okay? A lot of people don't know this, but if you look at the history, you will notice that the police chief of the city of Honolulu was busted by the Department of Justice for being involved in all the drug and human trafficking that's taken place on the island of Oahu. And for those that don't know this, I'll share this with you because I know these things. When I was on the Big Island, I met a number of people that were involved in, if you will, special operations with the U.S. Navy, okay, and the Marine Corps, because there were a lot of satanic rituals that were going on there. And on the Big Island, there was an enormous amount of kidnapping of children that take place there. And that's when Patty confirmed to me that the Big Island was a Draco stronghold. There are a lot of demons on that island. There's an enormous amount of demons throughout all the Hawaiian Islands, and particularly in Honolulu. I couldn't believe it. That was the highest concentration of negative polarity I have ever experienced since I've been in this realm, in this life cycle. Okay? So, how do I do this? So anyway, when in 1972, when I had, how do I put this, been engaged in essentially the way that people use money to build a civilization, then we interact with all of its institutions based on this stuff. Okay? The consciousness, the negative polarity that's represented by this. And this is one of the reasons why, if you take a look at a video by Rachel Adams that I watched last night, Rachel Adams was a super soldier. And one of the things that she was being interviewed by Miles Johnson, and if you want to take a look at that video, I would suggest that you do that for those that are interested in it. But it was called SSP, Super Soldier, Rachel, and then it had Black Goo, okay? And one of the things that she described is how you have basically self-aware energy that is in the field. You can't see it. Remember when Trump talked about an invisible war? Okay? We're talking about a parasitic artificial intelligence that is in this realm, that is negative polarity, that's trying to consume and flip the polarity to the other side, which means that it's draining life force energy everywhere. Because one of the things that she said, how could you not know when you were a child something was very wrong here? Okay, now obviously, as I've mentioned in many of my videos, I knew this at 4 years of age. Something is not right here. Why is it that wherever I go, I'm experiencing people that treat other people like shit? This is not right. This is not how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be able to experience love wherever we go. Something happened here. What happened here? So you begin to realize when you use the exponential function that over time you begin to realize that there are more and more and more and more people that are treating each other like crap, that live in fear of each other, that don't show any love towards each other. This is not right. This is going the other way. My God, all of the life force energy is being drained out of everybody. What is happening on this planet? You begin to realize, my God, the life force energy in this entire planet is being drained out of everybody. You begin to understand the scale of the problem. Okay? That's what the whole money system represents. Okay? So this is where, for example, I begin to realize that without even thinking about it, I'm wanting to get rid of this energy. Okay? And then I go, yeah, but look what you're doing to yourself as a result of that. Well, that's the illusion that I believed in when I was a child, even though it's not an illusion, and that's why when I was 21 years of age, and I got off an airplane on the island of Kauai, and all I had in my pocket was $10 and a surfboard. And ended up living in a treehouse, and I began to realize that after I stopped eating garbage from their stores and didn't have any more of this, and I began to look around me and I realized, my God, I'm surrounded by papayas and coconuts and passion fruit and guavas and avocados. Waterfalls with pristine clear water with mineral water, my God. And the next thing you know is I lost all the garbage, which is all the fatty acids that we end up consuming that are in our body, which represent negative polarity, okay, that we're draining the life force energy out of me. And the next thing I know is now that I'm eating such the high nutritional and mineral content of everything provided by the island, nature is giving me what I needed to clear the energies in my body represented by the negative polarity of all this black magic. It's negative polarity. It's dark energy. So I had to disattach myself. We are attached to negative polarity. Okay? Because of all the money that is in circulation that people use in order to get the things that they believe that they need through them. So this is when you get into the corporate money system and you begin to realize you have the Vatican Bank, represented with a relationship they have with the monarchs. If you go to the city of London, for example, which is the financial capital of the world, which is known as the financial arm of demons, Satan, if you will, okay, which is the Saturn former son, and the temple that the Dracos had, which is Iapetes, right? You'll see two pillars, for example, when you go through into the city of London that have figurines on top, which are reptilians. Okay? Reptiles. Pure predators. Okay? Which means that they run on negative polarity. They don't have any love for anybody, including themselves. So this is where we have to bring more life force, more light in here in order to restore that which has been lost through them in black goo. So what they do is they release black goo to kill off planetary bodies. Okay? Because these are androids and cyborgs, inorganic, artificial intelligence that essentially is trying to consume that which is living energy, which is living light, which is living spirit. That's why they don't have any life force energy left. So how do you continue to go on? Technology. That's why they use digital soulless clones, androids, cyborgs. So they drain the life force energy out of you, which is the living light, which is the living energy. Now you have a relationship with a machine. So when I got to Kauai in 1972, I began to realize that I didn't need their money to be happy, to be joyful, because Mother Earth was giving me everything that I needed, being with her. Now I reestablished the higher spiritual relationship with this realm, which is living light, which is living energy. That's how it works. You're choosing your pathway. This is a material pathway based on negative polarity that we are attaching ourselves to because this money is represented by the consciousness that has produced it. This is energy. This is consciousness energy that produced it. This negative polarity that is seeking to drain the life force energy out of all of us by having an attachment relationship with it because we have consciousness. Our consciousness is choosing to have a relationship with negative polarity consciousness. That's binary artificial intelligence. So this is one of the reasons why I have to make some decisions here, because you realize how this works. I knew how this worked as a child. We're held captive to this. And that prevents us from leaving the matter density body, which is lower frequency matter density. That's how they've been harvesting energy off of humanity and draining the life force, which is what the light is, out of all of us.